for severely violating social media rules by... As most of you will know, Donald Trump has spent the last year absent from mainstream social media following the attacks on the Capitol on the 6th of January 2021, which saw Trump locked out of his Facebook and Twitter accounts for severely violating social media rules by inciting violence. As you can imagine, this left Trump somewhat annoyed, as he no longer had a voice online. He tried and failed to launch a website called From the Desk of Donald Trump. But despite this, it's led to Trump launching his own social media site, which follows in the footsteps of well-known free speech sites like Getter, Gab, and Parler. Truth Social will launch on February the 21st, and Trump claims it will be an unfiltered forum to allow for open discourse and free speech. But what is Truth Social, and how did Truth Social start? Here's how it happened. Firstly, what is Truth Social? Well, to answer this question, we need to take a step back to understand what is TMTG, the newly formed Trump Media and Technology Group, Trump's new media company led by former US Representative Devin Nunes, which not only plans to take on social media, but also traditional media, with a subscription-based media platform and a news channel. Truth Social will give a voice to all and allow users to send out truths to the world. They describe themselves as America's big tent social media platform that encourages an open, free, and honest global conversation without discriminating against political ideology. The app will go live on February 21st, with users already able to register their interest. As before with Getter, we're left with the question of why we need another social media platform. Well, Trump has had his say on that too. We live in a world where the Taliban has a huge presence on Twitter, yet your favorite American president has been silenced. For me, this endeavor is about much more than politics. This is about saving our country, and I might be the only person in America with the megaphone, the resources, the experience, and the desire to make it all happen. Similar to Getter, Truth Social will be a bit of a Twitter clone, with truths and retruths rather than tweets, with people sharing stories, photos, and videos through TMTG's partnership with Rumble, who provide the video and streaming technology. It even showed in an investor presentation a chat screen with someone called Jack who wants the moderation team to take down an account. Perhaps a dig towards Jack Dorsey, the former CEO of Twitter. But this isn't the only awkward thing about Truth Social, as there's an array of awkward topics. Firstly, despite Trump's billionaire status, he's had many dramatic failures in business, from bankruptcies in Atlantic City casinos, a defunct airline and mortgage broker, and tax fraud through the Trump Organization. Then there's the violation of the software license with Mastodon, a free open source software for running social networking services, because Truth Social suggested that it was proprietary, which it isn't. Truth Social went public through a SPAC, a publicly traded shell company that merges with a real business, allowing Truth Social to become public and raise capital without hassle or delay. Truth Social merged with Digital World Acquisition Corp, which trades as DWAC on NASDAQ after Trump built a relationship with the CEO, Patrick Orlando. Shares of DWAC subsequently soared when the deal was announced on October the 20th. However, there's regulatory risk after US Senator Elizabeth Warren asked the SEC to investigate the merger for potential violations of securities laws around disclosure. Nevertheless, TMTG raised an additional $1 billion from private investors. Following the rise of the share price, TMTG now has an implied valuation of over $10 billion. The success of Truth Social almost entirely depends on how much traffic they get in order to attract advertising dollars. But Truth Social's Big Tent approach welcomes the thoughts and opinions of people from all over the world, with different political points of view, with a focus on freedom of expression and not being cancelled. Trump aims to launch non-woke services, including his video subscription business, as well as a news channel to challenge the established elite. Trump still believes that the fact that mainstream social media can block people with a different opinion is immeasurable, historically unprecedented, and profoundly dangerous to open democratic debate. Trump plans to stand up to the tyranny of big tech, and now with his own social media platform, he can. And only time will tell if he uses Truth Social to mount a 2024 presidential campaign. And that's how it happened.
Former President Donald Trump's app Truth Social is off to a rocky start after two key tech executives quit following a troubled launch in February.
That's right. Reuters is reporting Josh Adams, the chief of technology, and Billy Boozer, the head of product development for the app, have both stepped down. The specific circumstances behind the departures are unclear. Users reported problems with the app shortly after the launch, including a wait list of people still hoping to access the platform. Joining us now to talk more about this is CBS News reporter Dan Patterson. Dan covers the tech trends shaping politics, business, and culture. Dan, so great to have you with us.
Good to see you.
What do you know? Why are these guys leaving?
Look, we don't know a lot about why they are leaving, but we can take a look at the platforms or the websites themselves and maybe take a guess. Look, companies like Twitter and Facebook were set up and designed to be not just websites, not just apps, but web platforms, meaning you can interact with them and you can even build on top of them. I'm sure you've seen apps that use Facebook and Twitter kind of as their technological foundation. Now, True Social, not exactly the same. In fact, they were caught late last year stealing their code from another well-known open source social network called Mastodon. So, building and scaling a platform is vastly different than building a website or an application, and it takes resources, it takes money, it takes time, and more than anything, it takes tech talent, which is in short supply and mostly in Silicon Valley. So when I'm one of these two guys building this, at a certain point, I run out of money and talent. So although we don't know the particulars of why they left, building and scaling something like this is just incredibly hard when you don't have money and talent.
And Dan, you have a report from about a year ago that is now looking incredibly prescient, right? That says tech experts at the time were skeptical about this app, right? Can you tell us a little bit more about what you were hearing a year ago?
Yeah, so we know that about a year ago, in late January 2021, former President Donald Trump was pitched this idea of building a competitive social network. Why? Because he was deplatformed from Facebook and Twitter at the same time. And building a competitive website seemed like a pretty good idea. However, when I talked to IT experts, cybersecurity experts, and engineers who build and develop these sites, they told me the same thing, like, hey, look, you can want this, fine. But building it is not a matter of just throwing cash at it. You really have to have a certain amount of expertise, which the president just didn't have.
So the Daily Beast has a report out not long ago showing that Truth Social has fallen to 28th in the download category for social media apps on Apple's charts. That is behind some not so well-known social media networks like Wiz, Be Real, and, quote, Bloomer Random Video Chat.
Haven't heard of any
so
of this.
what is the unique proposition? Clearly the company is having some struggles. What is their proposition to be different from what is already out there and doing better than them currently?
Tony, that's what's really interesting. Although President Trump, we know, has pitched this idea and he hyped the idea of building an alternative, conservative, or right-leaning social network, that's actually a really competitive market. There's a ton of apps already doing that. We have Rumble, which is a YouTube competitor for conservatives. We have Parler, which has scaled and grown pretty impressively in the last year and a half, and that's a social network, kind of like a Facebook for conservatives. And we have Gab, which is favored by the hard right, by alt-right, but it's much like a Twitter for social conservatives. So it's a really competitive space to be launching an app in, and even President Trump doesn't have the competitive juice to really scale.